Momentum was in their dugout. How to make a way back into yours?
Team that scores first, and you get in a game like that, same thing will hold true tomorrow. If they come out and score first tomorrow, they'll have a lot of life and think they can win. If we score first, they have a chance to roll over and say, oh, here we go again. So I really thought not getting those 2 runs in the first inning when Barry hit the line drive, they made a nice play, was going to come back to get us, but we managed to keep grinding. With our offense, the way we run, you can't walk us. They walked us 10 times tonight, and I think we stole 6 or 7 bases, and if we do that, we're usually going to win.
Having 3 hits on the night, he's not a guy that's known for really getting his hits, but he's still an offensive asset for you guys. What does that mean?
Yeah. Kluska and Tucker, 3 hits apiece, I think, in the 8 and 9 hole. And if our guys are doing that and flipping the lineup over to AD and Weatherholt and Scott, if those guys are on base when AD and JJ come up, then we're probably going to score a lot of runs because it just puts a ton of pressure on the defense.
It seems like just the latest example of the team listening, getting the message, that you're trying to get to them. Obviously, the one that you were sending from last night. How gratifying has that been, and is this team one of the better ones at doing that?
Yeah, we just told them, you want to play your best baseball in May and June, and it seems like that's what we're doing. And when you do that, that means you have a good team. That means the chemistry in the locker room is good, the culture in the program is good, the guys are getting along, nobody's being selfish, and if you get the culture right and the chemistry right, then that's when good players play well, and that's kind of what we're doing right now.
It looked like you made kind of a late lineup switch, get Mikey in there. Just anything you saw there, or just changing things up a little bit? Or?
I knew Mikey was going to get 3 hits. Yeah, I wish you knew that stuff going into it, but we debated back and forth whether Holbrook or Leonard was going to catch, and it's going to be hot tomorrow and 95 degrees, and that beats up catchers more than anybody. So we're trying to divide time among those guys and keep them fresh as much as we can. And the fact that Mikey comes in there and gets 3 hits when we do that sure helps.
Braden Berry, 5 home runs this month. He had another one tonight. I mean, does it just seem like he's seeing the ball really well at this point?
Well, it sure does. He fits the mold of the kind of kid we try and recruit here. A great athlete with a great work ethic. Those guys always find a way to become really good players, and he's a great athlete. He's got unbelievable work ethic, and you call it, man. He's just seeing it really well right now, hitting multiple pitches and multiple parts of the plate. And man, he's a force in that 5 hole. After, he's him and McGuire. You'd think McGuire's the power hitter, and Barry's the guy that can spray it all over the field. But Barry's hitting the homers, and McGuire's using the whole field, and they're both. The amount of times that those guys make outs back to back is pretty limited.
You guys picked up your 13th Big 12 win tonight, which I think is like tied for the most that you guys have had since you've entered the league. What does that say about this bunch? Because I mean, you've had other teams get to 13 that had higher expectations. But what does that say about this bunch to get to this point?
Really didn't expect this out of this team. It's the first month, all we talked about was we need starting pitching. We don't have good enough starting pitching. So I never thought we'd be in a position to set a Mountaineer record for wins in the league. But this team has just found a way to grind it out. And guys like Hampton stepped up. Waters has had great days on the mound. And Aiden Major's given us good innings. So, yeah, if you'd have told me that going into the season we'd be in this position, I'd say you're crazy. But we've managed to play pretty well. The thing about winning games in this league, if you win 13 games, you've beaten 13 really good teams, no matter who they are. Everybody's capable of beating you, not 13 teams, but you won 13 games over really good teams because everybody's good. Everybody's good. Anybody can beat you, and they've done that. Kansas State won the series over Texas earlier this season. So if anybody thinks somebody's not capable of beating us, they're crazy. And we've just been playing pretty well lately.
Back to the lineup, last couple of weeks you've been putting Dane at third, JJ at second. Obviously McGuire's been playing catcher all season, but when you're making that decision, is that workload management? Is that matchups? What goes into that choice?
A little bit of matchups. It's if you go into a game and the opposing pitcher struggles against left-handed hitters, when you catch McGuire, that gives us a chance to get Blasik and Dowdell in the lineup. But when Dane catches, McGuire's pretty much stuck in the DH spot, so there's no opportunity to DH a lefty. So a little bit of both. You don't want to try and wear catchers out. That's a pretty tough position in the heat, wearing all that gear. The two hottest people on the field on a hot day are the catcher and the mountaineer. So you want to try and manage that, but it's also a matchup thing.
There's a theory floating around in baseball that guys hit better when they're playing in the field. Do you see that as well?
Some guys do that. It's Paul McIntosh was a terrible DH, but could really hit when he was catching because he was locked into the game. Baseball's a pretty slow-paced sport. As a DH, you get to perform once every 30 or 40 minutes. And that guys can lose interest in that. So it takes a special person to be a DH or be a pinch hitter late in the game, like Dowdell and Blazek. When they come in late in the game, they haven't done anything for 4 hours. To come in and perform after not doing anything is pretty tough. It's a lot easier to hit when you hit all the time. So those guys have done really well in those roles. Good.